It's us. We're here.
We're here. And I don't feel like I'm dying today.
Woo! It's been a Saturday. It's been a lot for a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like when even Matthew Mercer is posting, I don't know if you saw this, but when even Matthew Mercer is posting things about how he's depressed because of the state of the world, I feel like we're allowed to be a little bit like...
Everybody's just kind of going through it.
Yeah. Also, Matt Mercer, if you ever watch this, hey, we hope you're doing okay. And we commiserate. Welcome to VäkPäker's Guide, chat number 13. Our sponsor for tonight is Canadian Dice. Go to canadiandice.ca and use the code TheVACTER, all one word, at checkout for 15% off your order. Maggie's Dice Pick of the Week is Fireball. An arrow may have your name on it, but a fireball is addressed to whom it may concern. That's pretty good. Yeah, so
it's
check
like
those out.
When they don't ask the size of the room. Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Also keep in mind that I believe they're not able to fulfill orders right this second, but they will be able to...
I can't remember if he got back now or not.
Okay.
Because he did post on his Instagram today, so I'm not sure if they're back home now,
so maybe
or if they're on their way home.
But if your order doesn't get sent out right away, it will be soon. So just keep an eye out. And if you're going to be at GaryCon, maybe you can convince him to just bring it. I'm going to try and do that probably. Yeah.
So that would make sense. Y'all are riding down together, so...
Thank you, Canadian Dice, for always sponsoring our shows. Next, check out our merch at Tiny merch store at tinyurl.com/vacmerch. You can get excellent designs like Half-Orc Energy and the Vac Blob, and whatever designs Affy has percolating. I feel like we need to, also... Because I know we have, Splouth is on there. We need to get Alyssa to do something.
I know, I've been bugging her about it. She's got a lot going on with her new job, though, so it might be a little bit...
fair, I guess.
Look, it's not my fault the three of you started new jobs, okay? At the exact same freaking time.
Whoops. Yeah, so keep an eye out there. Our next announcement, it has to do with our schedule. It's kind of a light schedule week, but we're all trying to get ready for GaryCon, so that's probably a little bit of why. And some things, some campaigns have just recently ended. We're ramping up to get some new things started, so it's just one of those times where everything is converged. But on
weird lull.
Yeah, just a weird little lull. But on Monday at 8:30 p.m. we do have Mistwalkers here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then on Friday is Phixius 5 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time as well. So both of those are here on this channel. I don't think Daylight Savings Time goes into effect until the second weekend of March.
No, and also I forgot to put on there that Agni's new campaign starts tomorrow because I forgot what date it is.
Yes.
So tomorrow it's 5 p.m. Eastern. The Fallout game starts. War Never Changes.
War Never Changes with DM Agni tomorrow at 4.
Yep.
Central.
It's a Fallout game.
5 Eastern.
Yeah. It's a Fallout game. Takes place somewhere between
I'm sorry, Overseer Agni. I'm so sorry.
Yes, Overseer Agni. Agni, what's the number of the vault? Is it 95 and Diamond City? Is that where it takes place between those two locations? Before Fallout 4. Yes, before Fallout 4. But it's between Diamond City and one of the other vaults. And
I also forgot to do a posture check and group hydrate, so that's what I'm doing.
I didn't, but my back hurts. I'm feeling less nauseous today. So we're gonna stream for a little while.
Bonus. Also, just like I said earlier, in 18 days, not that anyone's counting, Artemis, me, the entire world.
I haven't been counting since you guys left.
The VäkPäk will be descending on Lake Geneva, Wisconsin for GaryCon, so if you're going to be there, come track us down. We'll be the nerds in the VäkTer merch with, well, some people have iced coffee. I'll probably just have regular coffee.
I'll have Diet Pepsi because I don't drink coffee, but, you know.
But either way, we'll be there. Say hi to us. Don't be afraid. We're friendly people, and we like to meet new people, so...
Yes.
Yeah, and a couple of us are running games, so... If you're in it, we'll see you
Yes.
there.
A couple of you had games that got invaded by half the VäkPäk.
Well, yeah, you know. And as always, find our podcast wherever you download your podcast from, now including Podbean.
Also, we hit 500 followers last night, which is pretty cool.
The VäkTer leveled up, and we leveled up.
Yep. Everybody leveled up. And, oh no, Kane. That's not good. Hopefully, it's not, like, you know, super serious. Nobody likes being sick.
Grab a Tylenol.
There's a kind of cold going around right now. Like, at least here.
Is that
I don't know so much about, like, by you guys. Yeah.
Kind of
And also, like, I think what made me so sick... Yeah, I think that's what made me so sick was the weather changes. Because we had some really dramatic weather changes. So, like, Tuesday, it went from 17°C to -9°C in less than 12 hours.
That's, I think,
and then, like,
some kind of close to freezing.
Yeah, and then it, like, bounced up. So it's, like, 57 to 28-ish.
Ugh.
In freedom units. And... Yeah.
It was
so,
similar.
like, it was just... Ugh.
We had, like, I don't remember, I think it was Tuesday, it was like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and then Wednesday it was snowing for several hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we got snow. So, like, it was just like, ugh. And my body did not like that.
No.
At all.
But it's been bouncing up and down, at least in the Midwest, for a couple weeks, so.
Like, there's that saying, you don't like the weather? Wait a minute, it'll change.
Yeah. Oh. Well, anyways, tonight we're gonna, we've been talking about spells. We're taking a little break from that so we can have kind of a chill stream.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking
we're gonna talk world building tonight.
World building.
Woo. Yeah, buddy. I'm excited.
Missouri is still in the Midwest. Although it's further south.
What's funny, because I don't consider Missouri Midwest. Like, I consider Missouri South.
Oh. Interesting.
Like,
I mean, it does get very warm there in the summer compared to, like, further north, but...
Yeah.
But,
like, for me, the Midwest it's Michigan.
Yeah.
It's, like, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. That's the Midwest to me.
Indiana.
Everything south of that is considered the South.
Oh,
yeah, Indiana, too. But, like, everything south of that is considered the South.
Yeah. I would even say, like, Western Pennsylvania, but not Eastern Pennsylvania. Eastern Pennsylvania is, like, East Coast.
Yeah, see, Pennsylvania has always been East Coast to me.
Yeah. Well,
so.
See, I used to think of that, too. Like, the Midwest is, like, that chunk of states around the Great Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
And then a friend of mine from South Dakota was like, no, we're part of the Midwest too. And I guess it, according to some sources,
it's everything for the mountains over.
Yeah, it's like even further west. But I always thought
I would consider that the West.
Yeah, it's more frontier states.
Everything past Minnesota is considered the West to me.
The, like, northern plains and getting into, like, Black Hills and mountains.
Yeah, Deadlands and stuff like that too. Like the Badlands, not the Deadlands. The Badlands.
Yeah, Missouri is right in the middle. So you do get a lot of variation also. Unfortunately
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. And you guys are like right in the middle of Tornado Alley. Like I'm on the northern end of Tornado Alley where I live. And Tornado Alley is, yeah, I don't know. But I live in like the dumbest part of the Midwest. I live in the northeast of the Midwest. Because the part of my state is called, like where I live in northeast Wisconsin. So like I live in the northeast of the Midwest.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
My address has
Or
3
confusing.
states in it.
Yes.
Because my city is a state and my street is a state. And then my state is a state. So sometimes when I read my address, they're like,
that's not real.
Wait, what? Anyways.
All right, let's jump into talking about world building.
Lucky episode 13, we're talking about world building. It's going to be a short one. We're tired.
Yeah.
I almost fell asleep. And then
Oh no.
I had an alarm set and everything, but I was lingering on the edge of sleep, and then I was like, actually, why don't I order some dinner? Did that instead.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, I don't know. How should we start this? Like, say you're gonna start, so like you're talking about starting a campaign all of your own.
Yeah.
And like, what has been your process for like how you wanted to start that? Because like, I think my process was way different than yours with how I wrote Phixius and how I'm starting to write the second campaign that I'm planning, assuming that we do it. And like, yeah.
I don't know. I've kind of like eased my way into it because I didn't really have a lot of experience. And like I tried to start a campaign before, but I didn't really have any like plot points or story arcs figured out ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, I don't really now either because there's been so much else going on, but I have an idea of like where I want to start and kind of what environment and everything.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I don't know, maybe I started my world building a little differently too, because I had tried at one point to build a world, and it just kind of fell flat. Like I tried to do the whole like I'll draw a giant map thing, and I like drawing giant maps, but that didn't
maps
really.
Are great.
Maps are great. And it's definitely a fun process. But I didn't know. I was just putting names on stuff and I didn't have anything to associate any of it with. And how Bhenkar got started was I was going to write a one-shot for my dad and his brothers. And none of them, well, my dad and my uncle had played once. His brother like other two brothers had never played at all. And so I just wanted to make a really simple one-shot, like low-level one-shot. And so I built a town around a one-shot first. And then I like zoomed out. And that made it much easier to start building a world.
Yeah. Yeah. I did almost the exact opposite of that. When I started, I literally threw myself in the deep end because I was like, I had been playing D&D for like 6 months, I think, maybe. And then I was like, you know what? I want to tell my own story because I have an idea. Yeah. And I looked at the DMG. I read, I think, maybe the first chapter of the DMG, threw the book away and just started writing.
Yeah.
And like, when I started writing Phixius, for me, what ended up like kicking the whole thing off was I had read, it was, I think it was like a post on Reddit that I had found somewhere else. Like it was on Twitter or something like that. But basically, it was talking about Imogen, who is the daughter of Agamemnon.
Yeah.
And she was sacrificed, funny enough, to the goddess Artemis.
Oh.
And she became the symbol for the cost of war, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah.
This soldier went to go like pray on some mountain, and he thought that he was praying to war, like to the god of war.
Yeah.
And it turned out that when he got there, there was this little girl who had wings that were like big angel wings, but they were all ripped up and just torn apart. And this little girl, she was wearing rags and she's very dirty and stuff. And when he looked at her, she looked at him with eyes that he's seen in every victim he'd ever seen during war.
Oh.
And she explained to him that she was the cost of war, that she was the innocence that was the cost of war. And then, so like, I read this story about it and it was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And the next day, Blizzard released the song for what is her name? I always forget her name, but it's one of the main characters from World of Warcraft. And it was Laura Bailey that was singing. And basically it was talking about like beware the daughter of the sea. And the song ends with the line that says beware of me. And I took those two ideas and they sort of like percolated in my brain for a couple of days, and Phixius was born from that. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of wild.
And your world,
but that's like
Phixius, or our continent is Phixius?
The whole realm is called Phixius. The continent that you guys are on right now is Asaurus.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Phixius is actually Latin for putting to flight.
Okay.
Which is sort of a nod at the little girl from the story.
Yeah.
So
I find that mythology is such a good source of inspiration.
Right? Like, it really is.
And
you see it in D&D too. Like, you see where mythology has like influenced D&D, like what's canon in D&D.
Yeah.
Like, there is a lot of it in there. And they even give you options for like Thor and, you know, some of those like Midgard gods are listed in the player's handbook, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
It's been a little bit since I've looked at the god section, but like, yeah, there's a lot of influence that can be pulled from that sort of thing. And like Phixius in particular is very, the story arc that you guys are on right now is very influenced by mythology.
Yeah.
Particularly that story about Agamemnon's daughter.
Yeah.
And Agamemnon was the guy who invaded Troy, for those of you who don't remember who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the guy who like, he got mad because Paris stole his girl, and so he went and invaded Troy. Like, it was the whole thing. But like this, I read that story about his daughter being sacrificed to Artemis, and like there's some debate about whether or not Artemis saved the girl and just turned her into this facsimile of like what it is to be the cost of war, or whether or not she actually sacrificed the child and like she became the actual cost of war. And it talks about like, and like with everything kind of going on right now too, it's kind of pertinent with everything going on.
Yeah.
About like, I don't know, it ended up just working out that way. And I always thought that was really fascinating, because you hear people talk about like, everybody thinks that the opposite of war is like peace,
yeah.
But it's not. It's actually creation.
Yeah.
It's the undoing of things.
Yeah.
And so like, I thought that was really fascinating. And like the true cost of war is actually always the innocents that get caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, and so I wrote an entire campaign around that. And that's kind of where you guys have been going. You're almost there. You're almost at the end.
We're close. We're getting there.
You're getting there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
The thing that I found really difficult in building an entire world, like a real world, our real Earth, is so incredibly complicated. Like cultures and ecosystems, all of that stuff is so complicated and so layered. Like, it's very difficult.
And it's all affected by each other.
Yep. And it's very difficult to build those real layers of life into an imaginary world. And I found myself kind of, which I've been going back through and changing some things, like things that no one's played in yet, things that have made no real impact on any games or anything.
Right.
Just because as I was building this world and like creating these stories and going from one-shots to little like short series or whatever, I was realizing that some of the places in my world were the same as other places in the world. And I should probably, like, I don't know, put a little variety in there.
Right?
Mix it up a little bit. So, I think on every continent, I had,
Jaina, that's her name. Jaina Proudmore. I'm like, I knew it was something like that. She's been around, okay, so nerd fact here. I've played World of Warcraft since it was Warcraft. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, back when it was a top-down dungeon crawl DOS game. Like,
dang.
I've been there since the beginning.
Like, now I gotta look up Jaina.
So.
But yeah, like, I found that I had several things on, every continent that would be like, and this is the place that trades with the rest of the world. And then I was like, not every continent. I mean, like, trade is gonna happen, but some places are gonna be more isolated than others. And some places are not going to have enough resources to be able to trade. Like, I can't have every place be like, this is where it's extra fertile. Like, I already have a place like that.
Yeah.
So now I need, you know.
So now you need a place that, like, is opposite of that. You need the place that is experiencing famine or dry spells or, you know, And you need the world to be varied.
I did, like, let me look at my thing. Like, in the one shot that I did, I talked a little bit about, like, we kind of visited a place that was more, things were more difficult. But, like, it's the most northern place in the world where people live, and some seasons are rough. And trying to get food is rough. I also realized not that long ago that a lot of the place names that I have are very French sounding, and I don't know why, because I didn't take French.
Also, some of them are very hard to pronounce when you're just looking at them.
They for sure are. All fantasy names should be impossible. The way that the way that
I think the first time I looked at the map that you sent me, I said, bless you.
It's ridiculous. I know. The way that I think of it is, like, some of the names are more cultural and more historical, especially of, like, the larger cities. And then the smaller towns and villages with the simpler folk have simpler names. So, but, I mean, I like an impossible name. What can I say?
Exactly. I not so much. Like most of mine are pretty easy to pronounce, but also like
You have some impossible ones in there too. Like where were we just at? The town at the bottom of the whirlpool.
Jedithir.
Yeah. Like you gotta have at least one or two towns with apostrophes in them.
Oh yeah, for sure. 1,000%. Like I'm looking at my
have-
map right now.
You gotta have your own made up way of pronouncing certain letters that don't come up in English very much. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
an X sounds like a J, of course. Or whatever.
Yeah. So I have on the continent that you guys are in, you guys haven't been there, but the northwesternmost country is Xhasir, which is pronounced Jasir. So you guys haven't been there yet, but like, because there's no reason for you to go there. Like none of your characters were from there.
Yeah.
Oh,
but see.
The continent that you guys will be on for campaign 2, there's not too many weird ones there. Like some of the smaller towns are a little weird, but like the weirdest one on there is Mabao. It's Mabao.
Okay.
So that's not like super weird, but no.
Yeah. Kane just mentioned that they've been using a book with random tables for world building.
Yep.
And honestly, that's a really great way to do it because any and every person, like I just said, like suddenly all my places were like, you can grow anything here because it makes me think of my grandpa and this whole stuff.
Yep.
That. But I've kind of settled on one spot where it's like that, and it's just how it is. But yeah, a random table is a really good way to mix in variety and get new ideas. Like, what kind of a place would this be? What kind of goods would they have? Would they have any at all?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe and your place devoid of gravity has been like a bunch of wizards lived there and they kept messing with magic.
And it messed everything up, yeah. Well, I mean, that's like the city that you guys have your home in is built it's built over the top of an ancient city that used to float in the sky and no longer does. And the king and queen have been protecting that secret for like forever, and you guys found out about it now, and now you have to go get it back from the enemy. So
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Like, oh yeah, oops. It's fine. Yeah, you only have to fight the Flare. It's fine. What could possibly go wrong with a demon named the Flare?
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm sure everything will be fine. You guys have only been gone for 3 months. It's fine.
Yeah, no big deal. Well, that's our next stop.
Yep. Yeah, that's fun. I'm here for that nonsense. But yeah. So as far as like so I just started prepping campaign 2 because just in case. Like what I ended up doing this time around, because I already have the map.
Yeah.
That, like that Phixius kind of lives on. You guys have seen that for the first campaign. But like for the second one, basically what I did was like I picked a city that you guys are going to be in, and I'm working on really building that city up, because the first 5 levels are going to be y'all just sort of like in that city and establishing your characters. So yeah, I've been using what I've been using is this PDF that I got. It's called Spectacular Settlements.
Yeah.
And it has a bunch of like what Kane was kind of talking about. It has a bunch of like random tables in it and things like that you can roll on if you need help coming up with stuff. And it's been great because it breaks it down, so like it has it into different sized cities, so it has like trade post all the way up through a fortress.
Yes.
And it gives you, so like the city that I'm building up is actually a capital city, so it gives you a capital city. And then it gives you like, okay, so like it should have this many districts, but you can random roll for the number of districts if you want to. And it gives you ideas of what those districts should be. Like one of them is like a botanical district, or one of them is like an academic district, or one of them is like the temple district. and it helps you sort of build from there. And that's sort of what I've been focusing on with building up Yamani. So, and this one is different for me because it's volcanic in nature here.
Yeah.
Because somebody was like, volcanoes. So
I love volcanoes. Which irony of irony.
I've had a crash course about volcanoes lately.
There are no volcanoes in my world.
Oh no.
At least not yet. No active ones. I should probably figure out where to put one. Or two.
Volcanoes, yes. Volcanoes. Volcanoes are awesome. We love volcanoes.
I'm a huge nerd for volcanoes. I love them.
In fact, one of the cities that is in my world is built like just outside of a volcano in the arms of a long dead titan.
Ooh.
Nice. Yep.
Okay.
A titan basically picked up like a big chunk of land and died while it was holding it. So mages built a city on that chunk of land that the titan is holding. And on the titan itself.
I have a bunch of like weird naming conventions. You know how we have a lot of like there are a lot of cities in the world named for saints in different religions and things like that. And that obviously depending on what language you speak, like for instance, San Francisco, it stands for saint, but it was originally settled in by like Spanish people, and so it was originally settled by indigenous people, but
yes,
the city was initially created by Spanish people, and so San is their saint or whatever, whereas like in Europe, things that are named after saints have like slightly different words, things like that. I came up with my own version of saint names. So like in one continent, for instance, which all the naming conventions are kind of loosely based on Welsh, where there's a lot of interesting like consonant combinations that make different sounds. But anything that has CN apostrophe is named after a saint.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah. So there's a couple of those. And then I have another continent that has a different word.
I have...
No, it doesn't. I think it's Nim on the other one. And that one's more like based on Scottish.
I have one continent that has a little bit more of like a French lean to it, where like one of the cities is Visaine and Montmartre, things like that, Port Bis, things like that. The Ambria, like things like that. There is another one that is got cities like Vidros and Coburn, Ensberg, things like that. The continent that you guys are on right now, like that's got very, like Edinburgh is the capital that you guys call home. Yeah. Bearspire, Swords Fall, things like that are very prevalent on that continent. Just south of you guys is Dinosaur Island, and that's Datho.
Nice.
Like, everybody keeps talking about like, we want to go to Dinosaur Island. I'm like, but do you? Because there's a lot of dinosaurs there.
We'll do it after.
Yeah, you guys can do it. You guys can do it during the downtime that I told you about last night.
There you go. 5
years, take a special trip there.
Although I'm pretty sure Karania is just going home, which is so boring.
Yeah.
But also true.
Yeah, but you know that those nerds are going to turn up in town one day and just be like, we're going to Dinosaur Island. And Crady's like, no. Just no. Turn right back around. No.
I mean, continent-wise, I have...
Yeah, what do you have for continent names? Because mine are...
The North Pole is Tirrenavust. Is where we went for the familiar problems one.
Heck yeah, that was great.
It's like Antarctica. Like, it's basically...
Yep. Mine's called the Crown of the World.
Yeah. Then the next one down is Isole, which I guess has some very French names. Yeah.
That's funny, because directly south of mine is Isaurus. That's where you guys are.
Yeah, Isole is interesting. That was where the beginner's one-shot I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then I feel like I should share this screen, but then also, like, I don't think we have do we have a share screen?
Yeah, we do.
Hold on.
Hold the phone, you guys.
I don't have us placed correctly in this.
That's okay. All. You can move stuff around if you need to.
I'll move stuff around. Oh boy. What? But yeah, so like now I'm just gonna be
moving stuff around.
That's
fine.
Talk.
Like,
You talk.
I feel so fast at that. Okay. Well, for my world, so Crown of the World is at the top. At the bottom is the Root of the World. The continent that you guys are on is Isaurus. I also have a continent called Polaris, a continent called Umberreach, and the continent for campaign 2 is actually Kayan. Those are like the major continents.
The first one that I made was Mirthed, which is kind of a weird name, but oh shoot, and I'm like messing.
That one sounds very French to me.
See, that one is the one that's based on the Welsh language. I went to Wales once, much to the Gesundheit, all the words.
All of the things.
And
weather changes have been making me sneeze so much lately.
Oh, for real. The people that we went with, or that I went with, were from Wales.
Okay.
And so I got to like...
Did they teach you the correct way to pronounce things?
I wouldn't say that. But he
No? Oh.
He was the first person that ever spoke Welsh in front of me. So I got to hear what it actually sounded like, and then I tried to learn it a little bit on my own. Which, Lord have mercy. Why?
That's the problem with like other languages. You can't ever learn them really on your own. No. Like, you need somebody to practice with who actually speaks the language, because otherwise you're just like embedding your own mistakes.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Like,
let's see. Am I doing window capture or display capture? I think it's window capture, right?
I believe it's window, yeah.
Probably.
We'll find out. It's fine. But yeah. Let's see. What can I tell you about my world right now that you guys are... So you guys are actually in the Elvish capital right now. Or you're not the Elvish capital. You're in just south of the Elvish capital. And the king and queen from your country has like had to retreat there because their city got taken over, and now they're like mounting defense to go back and take the city back. And the king and queen in Ebonbreak are actually a mated pair of silver dragons, because I love dragons. I'm obsessed with dragons. And silver dragons are hilarious because they think they look at humanoids like we look at puppy dogs.
Yeah.
Because they love collecting history and things like that. And like I hinted at this for a really long time when you guys first met them, because their palace is basically a museum.
Okay.
And because silver dragons love to collect history, so they have this whole museum in their palace that like they collect things, they collect bits of pieces of history. They were really interested in hearing your stories, all of that sort of stuff, because silver dragons, basically their hoard is a museum. So like, and they love talking to humanoids because they think that like, because dragons are so long-lived, usually dragons are really long-lived, and humanoids not so much, that like humanoids are always in a hurry according to them.
Yeah.
And so like they love to hear all of the stories because humanoids get into so much trouble because they're always going so fast.
I hope this works.
So, and I love silver dragons. Like the lore for silver dragons was hilarious when I read that, and I'm like, yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. It's working.
Oh, whoops. And I clicked off the wrong thing. Hold on.
Whoops.
That's what I get when I'm clicking around. I like clicked on the video to make sure it was working. Whoops.
There you go.
Okay.
Now it's back.
This is my world. Okay, so Terrain of Oost is at the top. Izol is under that. Naystir is where Bhenkar Brouhaha happens. There's, oh gosh, I feel like I need to zoom in here. Hold on. Because you can't really see.
Hi, Jer.
Hi, Jer. I don't know if you can see this. So Naystir is where Bhenkar Brouhaha happens. That's up here.
Okay.
There's a bunch of islands called the Fritzet Isles. And there's an island over here that's on its own called Wyret. And then there's Dirasim, Diraville. Malvalis is where Vic is from. Up here.
Okay. From your Bhenkar group.
Olinis is where the group that went to the South Pole is from. From that one shot that I did a couple Decembers ago.
That was the one that I was in, right?
Yeah. Where you guys got like flung into another plane.
Yes, we got turned into other things.
Yeah. Spoilers. Yeah. Glade Tennis is where... This is where the one shot that the Bhenkar Brouhaha one shot I did... Well, two shot, I guess? I don't know. This year, December... This is where Alaxon went to basically meet...
Not die.
Meet the dead lady that's been talking in his brain. She's over here. This is where people still live. This is the part that got destroyed. If you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. This is the part that got destroyed. This is the part that still people live there.
Not really, because your mouse doesn't show, so like I can't see what it is that you're pointing at. I can just see your map, but
Oh, it's not gonna do that. Well, fine. Why don't you let me draw on my own picture, you turd? No.
Rude.
I wish I had a laser pointer or something that could be translated. And then Mirdhed is the original place that I made for my dad. So like there's that whole continent is like one nation made of three nations kind of. And then Loise is where the group for Familiar Problems started. That little island up there by itself. It's like a majocratic island that's
yeah,
like
and
separate
they
from
sent
the
us
rest
to
of
the
the world.
north then.
Yeah. And then those islands that are off to the side of Muirhead, there's Selva and the Kruthic Isles, which is where the pirates are, the bandit lords. And then Fanken Trenkiti is a toxic poison island that's like a giant toxic swamp. And nobody goes there.
Except for one crew of idiots that had to go there.
So the bandit lords go there sometimes, but they stay on the shore because they can collect materials that can be used for like potions. And they're really the only people that are like willing to do that. But you don't go inland ever. Because it's
$10 says those of us that are playing in it at GaryCon are going inland because we're idiots.
I mean, that
We're
is the
dumb.
adventure. And there's more to that island, but I'm not going to go into it because
we're dumb. So,
people gonna play.
It's fine. Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. And also, because Jer's here, I met Jeremy because of world building. So Jeremy was building Ravensport for his God Killers campaign back in the day. And that's how I met him. It was the middle of the day on a Tuesday. And I was working from home. And Jer was working on a map. And like, I'm one of those people that like when I'm on Twitch and stuff like that, like I go to streamers that don't really have a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
And to help like boost him up and stuff. And I wandered into Jeremy's chat, and that was 3 years ago now. So, actually that on the 4th, that it'll be 3 years. So
nice. And
yeah.
I also ended up here because of Jeremy. It's Jeremy's fault.
We almost everybody ended up here because of Jeremy. Like,
because I was in
everybody that I talked to.
It was in his basic edition game.
Yes.
That was like the second.
I don't remember what that was called.
It
was like the star of something, wasn't it? Yes, Jerry, you are kind of a big deal.
That was, I think, the second streamed game I ever played in. Ever.
Okay. I met you because of Kids on Bikes.
Yes. Yeah.
You were super sick that night, but I met you you because of that. I
thought I had food poisoning, and I did not have food poisoning. I had something completely different.
Aw, buddy.
But it's fine. I'm fine now. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was 3 years ago now too. Almost.
That's
like in April. Like, that'll be 3 years.
Yeah, because we started Jer's basic game in December, I want to say. We played through December and went kind of into January. It was supposed to be.
I don't know.
Sure it was supposed to be a one shot.
I met Jer in March.
It went
of 2021. So
fun. Oh
yeah,
awesome. We can thank Affy for your presence.
Yeah, that I knew. Because she told me that she knows you, so that I knew.
Nice.
But like, yeah. But yeah, I've wandered into Jer's stream and I've been here ever since. They can't get rid of me now, so it's great. It's all Jer's fault. Hey, Pasta. You see my baby.
Now I need to figure out a plot. A plot for my campaign. I still am not sure.
Yeah.
You can build a world
that can be kind of rough. Yeah. Like, world building is great. I love world building, but like if you don't know where you're like I didn't actually know where campaign 2 was gonna go until like a month ago when I was like, this sounds cool, let's do this. And like
like herpes.
So like basically the sort of overview for the first part of like the second campaign that I was thinking about was like what we've been talking about, where you guys are establishing yourself in one big city with like a tradesman guild or something like that.
Yep.
Because in campaign 2, I want to implement the reputation points that they used in is it A Court of Fey and Flowers?
Yeah.
And like, because I really like that concept, like that was a really cool idea, and it would work really well if you're based out of like one city and you're just sort of going out to like locations around that city.
Yeah.
So
you really build a presence for yourself there.
Yeah, and it's a good way to like, you know, if you start low level campaign and you're a nobody, it helps you build up. Like you get allies here and you can find somebody there, but it also gives you the potential for like enemies down the road for your character to sort of grow into, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. So I really liked that concept. So I think I'm going to implement that in the second one.
Yeah. Cool.
Little kitten.
There's a pasta.
She's a good girl. We just want some snuggles.
Cat. What are you doing?
E.T.'s not here right now.
Pasta, tell us about the world you're building. What is it like?
Fire and chaos.
Yeah.
Just chaos.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I think the enemy initially in my Bhenkar brouhaha game is capitalism.
Nice.
Sorry.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It coming up with a storyline, like I understand why DMs take modules and then just like modify the crap out of them, because they already have like a base storyline. And like so when we ran Storm King's Thunder, our DM did that. Like we ran Storm King's Thunder, but it was sort of Storm King's Thunder adjacent.
Yeah.
Like it was heavily homebrewed. Yeah. And it was great. Like we had a great time. Like I loved that. We had so much fun. And like that was the first time that I ever played a cleric, and I've played a lot of clerics since then.
Yeah. Par for the course.
Yeah. I main clerics, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah.
Who haven't figured that out yet. I think I've played more clerics than I've played literally anything else at this point. Maybe druids is a very close second, but I've played a lot of clerics because, you know, group mom gonna group mom. But
I think I've ended up playing more clerics than other stuff. Just
because nobody wants to play a healer.
Sort of by circumstance. Clerics are pretty good though. You can do like the abilities that I have as a peace domain cleric are freaking great.
Yeah, Karini's awesome. Like I like that ability that Karini has to banish things.
Yeah.
Like that came in clutch in that fight against the
that was just a spell.
Oh.
But
for some reason I thought that was a thing that she got.
No, it's just a spell. But it like when we knew that this creature was
from somewhere else
that it is, I prepared it. That's all.
Okay. Nice.
But there's that emboldening bond is pretty great.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Because you basically have a 10-minute bless that's not concentration, and it's like bless and guidance together, because you can use it on ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws.
Everybody loves a good himbo, though.
Yeah.
Kane. I think so far all of our campaigns have had a himbo minotaur in them at some point.
Have they?
Like, I think, yeah. For sure, Phixius and
mine hasn't yet, but I haven't really had
Mistwalkers. And yeah. Like, and I think there was one in UPOW too.
What's that?
I want to say that there was one there. That was Agni's game. Underpaid and overworked.
Oh. I hate him both. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I know, Jer. I know. It's okay.
I think the only other character that I've played as long as a cleric, like, I played a cleric in a really long campaign before, and I'm playing a cleric in a really long campaign again. The only ones that I've played as long have been my druid from Curse of Strahd, which that game is, I don't know, in limbo land.
Someday you'll finish it.
I don't doubt. X to doubt. And I don't run that game, so that's why. Well, that's not the only reason why. There's many reasons why, but and then the game that I'm in now on Saturday mornings, that's just a text-only game, but I'm a fighter rogue.
Okay, nice.
With the magic initiate feat. So that I have a wizard spell and a cantrip. I can't not have spells. I also have a bracelet from Baba Yaga that lets me counterspell once a day. I was just talking today.
I don't know.
You know, because I think we talked about this a little bit before, and I don't know if we've talked about it on this show or just in one of our many chats, but like, I know people have issues with D&D sometimes, or more specifically, the company that happens to own it at the moment, that is owned by another company that is like trying to shoot themselves in the foot. I don't freaking know. Stupid. But basically, I think one of the nicest things about D&D or games like D&D, most RPG games probably, is that you can create so much of your own content. Like,
yes.
You can use their world as a baseline. It's always going to be different anyway. Like, depending on the characters you have and the players, it's never going to be the same, even if you play the same module over and over.
Yeah, like you could run Waterdeep totally different than I run Waterdeep. Like, same location, but guaranteed the campaigns will be different. Like, absolutely. Because I would build it differently than you would. Like, I would envision that city totally different than you would. And like, it was the same. So like, when I was talking about meeting Jeremy, I went in there because I saw that he was working on Saltmarsh content, and I had just finished running Saltmarsh as a campaign. So like, I was really curious to see like what his take on it was. And like, he ran Godkillers totally different than I ever would have. Like, it was heavily homebrewed, and like, it was great. I loved Godkillers. Like, it was amazing. And it was completely different than I ran it. Like, I ran it because I was relatively new as a DM too at the time. So like, I basically took what it said, because the way Saltmarsh, the book is laid out, you can run it as a campaign. Yeah. And you know, if you go through it, but it takes a little bit of work. Yeah. Like, because it's more adventures that are sort of broken up all over the place. Yep. But you can use it as a campaign. Yeah. And so I was curious to see what Jeremy was doing when he ran it. And that was 3 years ago now. So he was working on a map they never went to.
I want to know from you, because now we're past 8 o'clock at this point.
Yeah.
What is one of your favorite places in your world that you haven't gotten to talk to anybody about yet? Could be anything.
Titan's Watch.
Yeah? That's going to be the, like, next...
Yeah, that'll be in campaign 2, because that's the city that's held in the arms of the Titan.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah. I have like a very specific vision for that place, and I'm like, you guys haven't gone anywhere near it because it's so far east of where you guys are.
Yes.
There's no real reason for you to go there, because none of the stuff that you need is there. Right. And like, you haven't had any reason to go to the elemental plane of fire, so there's no reason for you to go there.
Right.
So, but yeah, and I'm excited for that, because I don't use volcanoes a lot. Like, I don't put a lot of volcanoes in any of my stuff, really. And so I'm excited to try that with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Have a more volcanic landscape for certain things, and deal with the sort of the idea of it being a protectorate where they didn't want to be a protectorate.
Interesting.
So I'm excited to try it. What about you?
There's a spot on, I think it's Nastier, but I don't remember where. I just have to find it. Oh, okay. I have a city. So in Nastier, in there's where we've played for Bhenkar Brouhaha has been in Nellis, which is in the lower part of a canyon. But there's like a whole upper plateau that's the majority of the continent. And there's actually the part of the continent that I think Wisteria is from.
That's Maggie's character, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Wisteria, they're from like a coastal area, sort of north of where our game takes place. But there's a big city. So my world doesn't really have tides because there's no moon. But there are currents that are caused by magical phenomena or other things.
Yes.
And most ships navigate using like magical tools. There is a city called Sagi.
Yours has an asteroid belt, right? There's like an asteroid belt around it.
There's like rings.
Yeah, rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a city called Sagi, which is on top of a cliff, and when boats come in, the cliff is like 400 or 500 feet up, and it's just like sheer cliffside. And because there's no waves, they don't have to worry about running into the rocks, but there's nowhere for them to like park. So what they do is they actually have this these like docking stations called the Portier, and it's basically you like you like parallel park your boat up against the cliff, and the like docking station in the Portier grabs your ship and hoists it up and just like holds it on the cliffside in like a parking spot, like one of those wild parking decks that you see in really crowded cities like in Asia. Like in Tokyo Drift, when you get the Hulk car out. Anyway, I just rewatched all those recently, so it's fresh in my mind. And then you have to like get off your ship and go onto these like cliffside paths that eventually like take you up to the city, but they're just like switchbacks behind the boats.
Okay.
And I think that's
cool.
Fun.
That is fun. I'm excited. You need to write a one-shot that happens there.
Yeah. The campaign that I'm working on is not there. It's in Artemis, which is where y'all are from. Your elemental...
Our elemental people, yeah. Nice.
Titans.
I'm here for it. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Like, world building is nuts. It really is. And like, I don't know if you have the same thing where I like that I do, but like once I get started, like I will just go for hours sometimes, where like I'll just be like, this building this and this and this, and like it's great, and yeah.
If I get an idea, I'll just like
yes,
laser focus.
You're like, I must make everything about this right now.
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah.
City of Talking Squirrels.
I love World. Squirrel Apocalypse Part 2.
Hey, Ryan. Anyway.
Welcome back from Jamaica. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started working on my world, I will say this. I had a lot of people... I asked a lot of people what they thought about how to start world building.
I remember.
Yeah. And in the end, I had to figure out what actually worked for me. Do it that way. So I don't think there's any one way to world build.
No, of course not. Just like there's no one way to DM. Like, it's never going to be the same from person to person. Like, you do what feels right for you as far as your world building goes. Like, if you take a module and you're adjusting it, or if you run the module as written, like, I've seen that done.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's
nothing to say that you can't do that.
There's nothing wrong with running a module. There's a lot that are a lot of fun.
I will tell you that one thing that I have heard more than one DM say about, like, especially DMs who homebrew, is that they are control freaks, and that's why they do what they do.
For sure. When I decided to homebrew a world, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do everything. All the gods are
all of the things.
All the
I didn't do that. I used a created pantheon, but
I went a little bit ham because I was like, well, might as well.
Exactly. I was kind of considering that for like this second campaign of like taking the gods that I have and renaming them, because it would be a different continent, so it would make sense that they would have different names somewhere else, you know. But I don't know. That feels like a lot of work to me.
I do.
So, and also the second campaign is not religious focused like the first one is. The first one is very like god heavy.
Yeah. Like
the campaign that you are playing in, the gods are very, very present.
Yeah.
And in the second campaign, I'm planning for that to not be the case.
Yeah.
So
I do think it's interesting that a lot of, like, kind of like we talked about at the beginning, like the real world is so complicated, and the way that like religions move and change and are developed, and that is very different in this world than it is in a world of D&D, where magic is real and you usually have pretty definite proof that there are gods.
Yep.
And so like, and also,
like, you guys have actually met them.
Yeah. Well, and also like the gods are the most powerful, but there are also other powerful beings that are
like demons and celestials and things like that.
Yeah. So it's interesting how those power balances can change in a world like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And how there's like a set number of them instead of just whatever our own imaginations and experiences determine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
No. I love world building. Like, it's fun.
Me too.
We'll talk about this again more for sure.
Oh yeah.
Our next stream, we're going to talk about GaryCon.
Yes.
And the stream after that, we're going to talk about GaryCon after GaryCon happens, because GaryCon happens in between the next two sessions. Yeah. So like the next two ones that we do are going to be that, like, and hopefully we'll be doing some content from GaryCon.
Yeah.
That's the plan anyways. we'll see what actually happens. But I have more time in my schedule this time around.
We're gonna do
last year my schedule was like really solid all the way through the whole like weekend.
Yeah.
I have one day now where it's not quite as crazy, so
Nice.
we'll see. Hopefully I have a little bit more time, but yeah, it'll be.
Yeah. Well,
we find somebody to raid?
Yeah, let's see if we can. I don't think I have the ability to raid.
I do.
Okay.
I just gotta find somebody real quick. I think Cedar's going right now.
Oh, that's true. I think so. Garden life. Also, don't forget, we've got Agni's game for Fallout. Fallout-based game starting tomorrow. That's at 5 Eastern, 4 Central Time. Right here on this channel. What was it? He said Overseer Agni, something like that.
Yes, Overseer Agni.
And then on Monday night at 8:30 is Mistwalkers, and on Friday night at 8:30 is Phixius 5. And as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Canadian Dice. They are great. Sounds like they're back from vacation, so get your orders in over the weekend. Guarantee Ryan will get those out on Monday. And thanks for talking to us while we talk about world building. We like talking about world building.
Yeah. Let's see.
We
do the thing. Come on, do the thing.
Any minute now, we're gonna start raiding someone.
Yeah, there we go. Now it's going. Okay, raid.
Pable.
Would help if I could spell correctly.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
It.
Now the raid's going.
All right, we're raiding
right.
Barefoot. Stay tuned. Stick around. Get extra points, I think. I'm pretty sure. And we'll catch you later. Bye.
For sure.
Bye.